Today I'm talking to Max Wallder, the UK and Ireland sales manager for Kathmandu, the iconic New Zealand outdoor brand. How are you doing, Max?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Just having you.
Brilliant. Yeah, there's no problem. I take it you just got back from New Zealand as well after visiting the head office out there.
Yeah, so Global Sales Conference for Autumn Winter 24. It's a great opportunity to get amongst the all the products and with all the people who are actually designing them out in New Zealand. So it's a great couple of weeks out there.
So, can you tell me a little bit about Kathmandu and its history?
Yeah, so we've been around for about 35 years now. The brand started in New Zealand. That's our home market and one of our largest markets. We're also very, very strong in Australia. So across the kind of Australasian market, we are the number one outdoor brand there. We're very different though in that part of the world. So we're a retailer with over 150 doors of their own doors over there, whereas in Europe and North America, we're a wholesale business. So very different kind of approach to the marketplace. But a hell of a lot of love for the brand. So it's a $500 million brand. It's a really big business, but is we make great products, very accessible to a lot of people. We've always tried to maintain that we do business a little bit differently. We're a B Corp business, so sustainability from all angles has always been very, very important to us, and that's how we've approached our global expansion. Particularly what I'm concerned with across Europe, but just trying to be a force for good with our business.
I mean, that's the thing. Sustainability seems to be a major plank in your branding. I mean, as you say, you're a B Corp certified corporation, but you're also involved in the sustainable wool certification,
RWS.
and
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting one, and it's actually kind of changing at the moment. So across our WS, the wall, and our DS are down, and there's also one I think for alpacas and another thing. They're redoing that whole system as a kind of common platform for responsibly sourced fabrics. So it's going to get quite a big update, but we've been a part of that community of trying to push all of these labels and all these initiatives to try and do better, because we're on a finite earth with limited resources, but we need to be really careful with it. So it's something that we've always taken really seriously.
as well, you've got responsibly sourced cotton as well. That's correct, isn't it?
So we use a combination of BCI cotton, but also we're moving much more into organic cotton. Cotton it's a funny one in itself, really, because cotton isn't necessarily a bad fabric, but the amount the world uses of it becomes super unsustainable.
Yeah.
So that's really problematic for us as a brand that does make a fair amount of cotton clothing, which is why we're trying to push into more and more of 100% organic cotton in the future.
And you mentioned you were at the meeting for what's coming in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
What is coming in the near future?
Well, lots of exciting things. So Winter 24 is going to be a new sort of renewed push around insulation pieces and different kind of insulation. We know, and this is the same around the world, temperatures are changing. The winter isn't what it used to be, nor is the summer. So having different kinds of insulation that can be more and more versatile no matter what the weather's going to be like. So we're using more synthetic insulation pieces, more active insulation pieces, and a lot more lightweight down as well.
I mean, as you say, how are you finding the UK and Ireland market?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging time, right? I think everyone's feeling the pinch, whether it's as a consumer or as a brand. We did see some interesting data actually about consumer confidence at the moment across the market, and I think it's very easy for brands to say it's all doom and gloom, but it's not actually as bad as it seems out there. People are still spending money, and the outdoor industry is a really resilient industry. People, even when times are tough, one of the things we fall back on is nature, and that means that people still want to get out there, and people still need kit to be able to do that. So although yes, things are relatively challenging, I think there's a lot of optimism, I think, going forwards. And we see that in the brand, we see that in our order books. You know, and you can see it across the UK and Ireland. People are still shopping, and they want to go outside.
And how are you finding brand recognition?
Yeah, it's the biggest challenge for us as a new brand to the marketplace. It's something that we're working really hard on. So about 2 months ago, we just took on a new PR company for the UK and Ireland. So we'll be working with Brand Nation to push that brand recognition. We're not deluded. We've got a ways to go in that, but we do know we've got a really strong brand that can have think that we want it to be able to do. We've got really great products that can, answer that have solutions for what consumers are looking for. So it's an exciting time because we've got stuff to do, but we've got the right tools to be able to do it.
Do you have a kind of a more popular range, or is it kind of the popularity of the brand is all over it, or are there certain things that
definitely
yeah.
I think it's like all brands really. They always everyone seems to have those kind of hero pinnacle products that they're known for. So for us it is our insulation. Insulation is first and foremost what we sell most of, and second to that is our rain jackets, our waterproofs. So that's why we've got a big focus on our insulation pieces for next winter, because it's where we know we can win. Or where we already are winning. Also our waterproof piece as well. But just like every outdoor brand, we do everything. You've got to have that head to toe offering. I say head to toe. We do everything up to, but not including footwear, because as a business, our umbrella company, KMD Brands, also owns Oboes, which would be our footwear offering.
That's good. I mean, as you say, you've had a look at what's coming next for the next season, etc. Is there a 5-year plan? Is there a kind of where you're going to move the brand forward in UK and Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, I think things are really fluid, I guess, at the moment. It's a very difficult time to put kind of pen to paper on a plan. We've got pretty ambitious growth targets as a brand that we'd like to achieve, and a big part of that is working with more and more players within the industry. But you never know what the industry is doing these days. It seems like some seasons you can have a great time and some other times less so. And you just got to look at some of the big online players who seem to be falling away at the moment to know that having too much of a rigid plan isn't really the best way forwards at the moment. So yes, there's a plan. We'll see what happens.
Right. Do you work a lot with ambassadors? Do you have that kind of social media presence that's out there, or is that mainly kind of in New Zealand, Australia, and are you bringing that over here?
Yeah, so if you'd asked me that about a year ago, then yes, it was solely done out of New Zealand and Australia. Mm-hmm. So it's only been in 2023 that we set up a Northern Hemisphere social media accounts, across the board for all the different networks. And that's something we're really going to be pushing a lot more here, and working with our new PR company to be able to do that. We're currently looking at, in fact, we just signed a deal with I think 2 influencers, but we'll be doing it with a few other people as well. In all honesty, it's not my world, that kind of thing. But it is still really important. We as a brand, again, as I'm sure a lot of brands try to, we have to connect with that younger consumer. We have to try and appeal to a broad church of people. So a big part of that is how we engage with them as early as possible, not just at point of sale, at retail, but as early as possible through the social media and various other channels.
I'd say one of the things that with any brand is that quality and customer service is key. I mean, as a customer service, do you offer repairs or anything like that, or is that something that you'd be looking at in the future?
Yeah, so we've actually got a pilot going on right now it's in Australia. So they're working on a Kathmandu redo or something like that. I forget the exact name, but where all of the returns are being sorted. Anything that can be resold will be, returns and uh, products that are sort of at or close to the end of their life that people want to trade in. Anything that can be resold is resold. Anything that needs to be repaired is then repaired and then placed back on the shop floor. And anything that is a complete end of life will then get recycled. So they're working with, I think currently the pilot is going on for the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tricky one to be completely honest. It's really hard to get the scale that you need to make something like this viable. And even with the whole of Australia, which is for us, hundreds of millions of dollars in the market, we only get enough products back from that to be able to do this in about 5 stores.
Okay.
So scale is really key here, and that's why we're doing it in our largest market as a starting point. But it's definitely something we want to be looking at across the world. But yeah, it's got to work. You've got to be able to get enough of it to have a draw in. Otherwise, simply you won't have enough products on the shop floor to make it a worthwhile endeavor.
But is there anything else you'd like to touch on that Kathmandu's got up its sleeves? Its rain jacket sleeves. These are.
So it's probably worth noting with when we took on as a brand, when we reorganized and we became KMD brands, and we have the Kathmandu, Oboz, Rip Curl brands underneath all of us. A big part of the integration was how we can elevate all of those brands in the same way to the same sustainability levels as Kathmandu. So I'm not sure how much you know about B Corp, but B Corp's great because it's such a holistic sustainability kind of stamp of approval on what you're doing. It's also whatever you get in your B Corp score, you have to constantly be improving. So we have just been revalidated a couple of months ago. So this is our second go round, and we got a considerably higher score than we did 3 or 4 years ago when we first got it. But we also managed to push Rip Curl and Oboz and the factory that we own in, I forget where it is in the world, but somewhere in Asia, the factory as well up to a B Corp standard. And that's a pretty big deal as a business. We also benefit from the fact that because we're across different industries, we use waste products from things like wetsuits to be building the bits in your rucksacks, the padding, that kind of stuff. So we can really utilize the fact that we're across different industries and making different products to be able to help us be as sustainable as possible, which is so important these days, to be doing absolutely everything you possibly can. I think it's if you accept the fact that the second you walk out the house, you're having a negative impact on the world, which can be a little bit like overwhelmingly big. The fact is that as a business, we're always trying to do the right thing. We're always pushing the boat as much as physically possible. And one of the things that came out of the other week in New Zealand was some of the amazing new initiatives they're doing on sustainable fabrics. I don't know how much I can talk about, but things like recycling car tires, getting pure oils back out of car tire fabric, so that we don't have to be using as much. And what plastic bottles are a big problem, we know that, but a lot of people are starting to look at that and trying to use as much of the recycled polyester from bottles. But car tires is a huge problem, but generally people just burn them, which creates even more of a problem. So we're trying to look at the world, sort of take a step back and go, well, what other problems are there, and how can we input into a solution then? So they're really trying to look at big picture stuff to have the biggest possible positive impact in what we're doing. And I think that's what the Kathmandu brand's all about. It's a journey. We won't be perfect, but if you try and have the best possible outcome, then that's where Kathmandu's at, really.
Brilliant. Well, that was really interesting, and thanks for that, Max.